So in this case, sometimes you find that because it's a study, you might not actually go ahead to conduct more interviews or to look at more cases. Everything is gonna be focused on this particular case. So I'll say that there are no differences in terms of sample size based on these approaches, except when it is. But the actual analysis is the one that you do. So some of the things that I've seen in some qualitative manuscripts, and they've been, is because you will say, we conducted data analysis using NVivo, or we used Atlas TI to conduct our data analysis, and it ends there. No, your qualitative study, the analysis, is where you explain that you did or you used a narrative analysis, where you started with transcribing verbatim, then you looked at themes, you looked at the content and everything. So that's thematic content analysis. So I want to make this very, very clear. You do not analyze qualitative data using software. The software only helps you to manage the data, but the actual analysis, you use the process like content analysis, you use narrative analysis, yeah, I hope that's very clear.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And,
I'm
yes,
agree with that.
Yes,
yeah,
oh, thank
I'm
you.
agree with that because never use software.
Yes, yeah.
Because software, mostly they use software, and the software mostly have been published by English speakers, and we use in Indonesian, so it's very difficult. Different.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really important. So okay, the other thing that I want, can I add this?
Sure, please.
In many cases, yeah, in your analysis, many journals ask you to present the framework you used. Now, the framework that you use might be different from the actual approach that you used. So, for instance, you'd find that in some studies, people would have actually used a framework by a certain guy who also did similar work. And therefore, you will actually say that your framework was something else that was actually from elsewhere. So that's really important that you notice the difference between a framework and the actual approach that you use. So you use the phenomenological, but your analysis uses a framework that was developed by someone else. I hope that helps.
Terima kasih Prof. Wati tadi diteruskan. Maaf tadi saya sempat off dan pertanyaan di chat saya terhapus ini. Apakah ada yang berkenan untuk menyampaikan atau Bapak Ibu, Prof, pertanyaan di chat saya terhapus. Dr. Umar,
yes.
I lost the question on my chat room, so I cannot read the question that have been asked by the participant.
Okay.
Yeah, who will be helping me?
Okay. And Henning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Can I? I wanted to emphasize something.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
so
you,
I was
Parodi.
saying that I've taken you back to the manuscript.
Okay.
You say it talks about data collection and analysis. Okay. So you will see that in the design, it says constructivist grounded theory. Then it says the CGT. And this is by Chamaz 2006. So that's the design that they're using. And then they will actually explain in the analysis section that they used a constant comparison method of analysis according to this constructionist grounded theory to find commonalities, variations, and to guide simultaneous data gathering. And then they'll say this method allowed comparison of one item of data with another one and things like that. So I wanted to say that for this one, you find that they used the analysis based on this, what they are calling constructivist grounded theory. But you will see that in the same paper, they're talking about grounded theory is a methodology that provides for the discovery of theory through the analysis of data. Okay? But the analysis itself is using what is called the constructivist grounded theory. So the constructivist grounded theory is more or less like a component or a sub element within the grounded theory approach. So it's those things that you need to make sure that you are able to follow how some people did it. So when you're conducting your analysis, you read the literature and see whether you can find something like this that somebody used, and then you use the same as well. Thank you very much. You can go to the other questions. Oh, seems like we can't hear you, Henning.
Hello.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, I forgot to unmute my mic.
Unmute.
So, yeah, so the question would be about the number of the theme, because you mentioned only or limit into 3 themes, right? So there are there is question regarding that, like, should we limit only 3 themes, or it is something like a strict number of how many themes that should we have in one manuscript?
Okay, so again, I would say you need to, okay, so you find that people talk about themes, sometimes people talk about domains. So your manuscript should only have 3 themes, or if you want to call them domains, we can say domains. So, but each theme can have so many sub-themes. Okay, so these sub-themes should be explaining that main theme. But if you have so many, what it means is that you still have to group your findings in such a way that they have 3 main themes, and under each theme, you can have so many sub-themes. But in terms of structure and organizing a qualitative paper, it is a must that you should focus on the 3 main themes. You should actually identify those 3 main themes, locate them, and come up with the sub-themes. So like I was saying, if you do literature search, look for a number of qualitative manuscripts, you start to see that every time there are 3 themes. And under those 3 themes, you would have those sub-themes. And when you start discovering that, you'll be like, it'll be really a nice moment, like, aha, yes, it is, just 3, just 3, just 3. So the 3 come after you've characterized the sample. So demographic findings, let's call that, that is not part of the themes, okay? But after you've actually said the characteristics of the sample, then your 3 themes comes after that.
Okay, but I noticed that when you, sorry, Dr. Umar, I noticed that when you explains about the manuscripts, the non-manuscript, the articles, you don't mention, you did not mention it is like a theme, but categories. It was written categories, but you said it is themes. So how is it actually? Can you explain more? Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much, Professor, for highlighting that. So there are a number of words or terms that are used in qualitative. So you find that, so I was talking about that you can have some people calling them domains, like the main themes, they can be called domains. Some literature would call these domains as categories. Some literature would call them as themes. And in some cases, you can say you can have domains which are regarded as the high level. Second level would be categories, and then the third level would be themes. Or indeed, so they're all these they're kind of used interchangeably, but depending on the journal that you're using, it will probably give you a lead in terms of the kind of terms you're gonna use. Are you gonna be saying these are themes, categories, or domains? So you get that kind of guidance from the journal itself. But I would say that a category or a theme or domain, always there should be three main ones, and then the rest can come under it as whether it's subdomains or subthemes.
Pravyani, is that answering your concern? Pravyani? Pravyani?
Can I argue with you a little bit?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Yes, please.
I'm not really agree with you about should be thinking only three themes, because we can delete some data, or we can what do you call it, wasting the data. Sometimes people just have so many data and they already structure it and analyze it, and they found more than domain, more than three domain or three themes. Then after the themes, we have sub-themes or categories underneath. Okay, so I think we cannot strict to think that we only think only three themes in there, because sometimes people found only also found some another themes that different domain within the theme, and more than three. You know what I mean? So if you strict only three themes, that's we will miss some data. We may miss some data to answer the research questions. I think like that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Actually, thank you very much.
It's depend on. I think it's depend on the research question that you make before. It's depend on the research questions. It's depend also on the objectives that you make before, whether the team can answer the research question or the research objective in there. So that's why if we strict only three teams, then actually the three teams didn't answer yet the research question or research objective that you set in. It's not true, isn't it? It's not finished yet, the research, because you haven't answered with the three teams. You cannot answer the research question yet. So I don't know. That's my argumentation. What do you think about that?
No, it is a valid, yes, it is a valid argument, and I also like it. It is also one of those things that you could say that if it was like in person, we could have taken a little more time to talk about it in depth. But what I want to say is that if you remember from the first or second slide, I was saying that the reason why many manuscripts don't get published it's because they don't have structure, number one. Number two, the findings are not properly grouped. Now, when you find that a paper or a manuscript has got so many themes, what it means is that your analysis has not been done properly to condense it to a level where you are able to say, these are the main core issues. So, but like I'm saying, you don't actually have to say, because once you've identified, let's say, 3 main themes, under each theme, you can come up with so many other sub-themes. So the argument that you might leave out some data, the argument that you might leave out some data can be true, but it means, and in many cases, it's not that because you collected that information, then it should find its way into that manuscript. And it's that weakness where we're trying to push in everything that we collected, where the paper becomes kind of all over. And that way you find that the structure is lost, number one. Number two, you find that you might bring in new issues that are not related to the main research question. So I would say that maybe based on my readings and some literature I have come across, many authors in qualitative suggest and strongly recommend that you have to restrain it to 3 themes, and each theme is properly tightened by providing enough evidence from the data and providing sub-themes within it. Yeah.
And also, I just give advice that in the conclusion, the last one, the conclusion of the research finding should be answer the research question. So people sometimes forget it because they don't answer the research question. It's the conclusion. In the conclusion.
That's true. Very true. Yeah. So that's really true that the conclusion should really have come out, the conclusion should represent some kind of final position that you have taken as a researcher based on what the findings are saying in relation to that particular research question that you set out to answer. So yeah, thank you very much for bringing that out.
Ada lagi, Prof. Wati?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Mungkin ada mahasiswa lain yang mau bertanya.
Ada satu pertanyaan lagi nih, Prof, terkait dengan there is question regarding the rejection with the reason of being not rational with the data set. So could you give us an example on what kind of example of rational size data set or something like that? Do you get the point?
Can you come back?
Yes, sure.
Can you come again?
So there is a question about the manuscript being rejected because of the reason of rejection is because of the data set is not being rational. The size data set is not rational. Did you mention something like that before?
Yeah. So, yes, I did. I did.
Ibu Ida was asking an example on that case or that situation.
Okay, good. So what I was saying is, for instance, you have a research question that is looking at, in this case, maybe something to do with diabetes. And the research question is, what factors make people fail to observe guidelines for preventing, let's say, diabetes? So that's the research question. Now, when you conduct your research, you find that your research assistant did not collect enough information that is talking about the reasons why people cannot adhere to the guidelines for preventing yourself from getting diabetes. Now, in the long run, you find that the data sets you have do not really talk directly to the research question you set out to do. And because for you, you're a professor in the area of diabetes, and you want this paper to be in that specific area, you still push yourself to write this paper based on that research question, factors affecting people failing to observe guidelines. But the truth is, if you look at the data that you collected, maybe the kind of research question that that data can address is not the one that you are looking at. So make sure that, so what I was trying to say, that it is very important that you should see to it that your data, the bulk, most of the data is able to answer or to address the research question that you've actually set out to respond to. If you find that your data is not really providing enough answer to that research question, then look for the right research question that that data set is going to respond to or to answer to.
So, Dr. Umar?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm kind of not quite clear. So that the point is would be, can you summarize the point?
Repeat it?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me summarize it. Okay. Then this will make me talk about, I want to give this as an example. So, like I was saying, the research question can be what factors contribute to people, let's say, not following guidelines to protect themselves from COVID-19. Okay, so the research question is, why do people adhere to COVID-19 guidelines? Now, when you collect your data, whether it is in-depth interviews or focus group, you find that your research assistants asked a lot about people's fears around COVID-19. So most of your data is really talking about fears around COVID-19. But there's very little from that data that is asking or talking about the reasons why they don't wear face masks, the reasons why they don't observe social distancing, the reasons why they don't do other things that are required. But because your study, you set out to look for reasons why people don't adhere to COVID-19 prevention strategies. Okay, so even if your findings are more about their fears and not about them adhering to the, and in this case, I'm talking about the fears, in this case, maybe not being part of a potential answer for them not to adhere to their to the guidelines, then your study remains, the research question is factors making them not to adhere to that, but the data itself, most of it is not speaking to that specific issue. So what you do is you find that you are pushing these things, the issues you collected that are not associated or that merely tangentially associated to that issue, and you're pushing it to fit there when it does not fit.
Yeah.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Semoga Ibu Ida yang bertanya juga cukup jelas. Jadi sepertinya kesimpulannya tidak match antara pertanyaan penelitian dan atau yang ingin dicari dengan yang diperoleh. Jadi tidak cukup untuk menjawab pertanyaan. Itu yang saya tangkap, mudah-mudahan seperti itu dan menjawab. Sepertinya sudah semua terjawab pertanyaan yang ada di chat room. Dan ini waktunya juga sudah 9.51. Jika tidak ada pertanyaan atau hal yang didiskusikan, sepertinya cukup, Prof, Bapak Ibu.
Cukup, saya rasa dicukupkan saja sudah.
Baik.
Terima kasih.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Umar.
Yeah, you're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
So,
yeah, it's a small world. Who knows that we will meet each other face by face.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Amin.
Yeah.
Happy New Year also.
Islamic New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Tomorrow is our Muslim New Year.
Yeah.
One Muharram.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Baik, Bapak Ibu, Prof. Demikian berarti kita sudah di ujung acara. Mengingat waktu juga sudah cukup malam, kita perlu beristirahat. Dr. Umar, thank you so much for your important and informative sharing. This would be very useful for all of us, and don't be bored if we are asking more of your knowledge, your experience to be shared with us. So again, thank you so much. Prof, Bapak, Ibu, mohon maaf jika ada yang tidak berkenan. Kita bertemu lagi di sesi yang lain untuk sesi belajar menulis dan writing klinik. Sekali lagi mohon maaf jika ada hal yang tidak berkenan. Untuk rekaman kegiatan malam hari ini nanti akan di-share di channel YouTube kita. Dan Dr. Umar, we would like to ask your PowerPoint to be for our participant. Would it be okay?
Yes. So I wanted to integrate it with that manuscript. Then I'll send it to you.
Okay.
I want you to make sure that, especially the students, it can benefit them. They can use it as a step-by-step process to say, have I included this? How does this look? So I will send it to you tomorrow. By tomorrow morning, you should find it in your inbox. Then you can send it to the participants.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So terima kasih. Thank you so much. And terima kasih. Semoga kita tidak bosan dan kita saling mengingatkan untuk selalu menulis seperti yang disarankan Dr. Umar, minimal 1 jam setiap harinya. Terima kasih. Selamat
terima kasih.
Malam. Selamat malam. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Terima kasih. Selamat malam. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Syukran, Dr. Umar.
Ya,
Terima kasih, Dr. Umar, Bu Haning, Prof.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Umar.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Syukran, Zofila.